Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're doing well. So I've been thinking about it, and I've decided that I might just do a handful of these, maybe how-to or some quick tip videos just to share with the people that are interested in getting into hunting. It's pretty much a daily occurrence now where somebody asks me, you know, how do you hunt? I'd like to get into hunting. What do I need? And it's pretty apparent quickly that, yeah, for the majority of the people that have never hunted, it's a bit confusing, and they really have no idea what's going on and where to start and what they need. So yeah, that's all this is. I just figured I'd do just a quick, what do you need to get into hunting? The very basics, hunting gear, like all the other gear out there, is just a rabbit hole. So after this video, if you've watched this, I'd encourage you to dive deeper into it. There's a lot of um, extra things you can buy that serve specific purposes, and yeah, it's super fun to get into. Anyways, I'll warn you though, it can be expensive. So try to stick to your basics of fundamental gear that you need to get into it, and then you could branch out from there over the years. And I think a lot of us have bought gear that we thought was going to be cool and useful, and then you come to find out you really don't use it, so it's kind of a waste of money. And then you see a lot of this stuff go up for sale on the buy and sell pages. So anyways, I just want to start with the very fundamentals, like what you need to get into hunting, and what I would recommend from my experience. Like I said, this is not an exhaustive list of all the hunting gear you can get, and I put it in no real particular order. I didn't give it that much thought. Just try to think of the absolute basics, that if you go from have never hunted in your entire life to you want to go try and harvest your first deer or first small game animal or any other big game animal, these are the items you should consider. So the first thing is a hunting license. I mean, you shouldn't be in the woods hunting if you don't have a hunting license. So I'm going to keep this stuff to my area and my province and region. So this may not apply to all the hunting areas out there across the world, but in my little zone here, this is the stuff that I think you need and you should use. But yeah, hunting license, number one. Got to go do your core, get certified. It's illegal to be out hunting if you don't have your hunting license. So get that. The second thing is your tags. So you need to know the regulations and know what you need tags for. And definitely deer, bear, big game animals, you need your tags. So make sure you purchase those before you head out into the woods for the first time. And yeah, you need if you're going to start basic, I'd recommend a firearm, so a rifle. And this is an example of the rifle I use, and it's just 243, and that's not a big cartridge or a big caliber, but I can guarantee you anything 243 and up is going to do the job on a blacktail deer without a doubt, as long as you put the bullet in the right place. And then I'm not going to get into it, the smaller cartridges that you could, or the small, what's the minimum cartridge you could use to take a blacktail deer? I mean, I'm not going to get into that. I use a 243. It's been 100% effective. I like it. It's a bit of a lighter rifle, I feel, at least this model. And yeah, I mean, the smaller the caliber and smaller the cartridge, you got to think probably does less meat damage on a deer. So yeah, I think that's worth doing. But if all you've got is a 270, a 30-06, I mean, maybe a 300 Win Mag's a bit much, but anything's going to kill one of them. So, but if you're going to go buy a rifle, think about what you're going to use. If you're going to be hunting small to medium-sized game, maybe it's worth getting a cartridge that reflects that. And if you're going to go after bigger stuff like elk and moose, you want to consider what cartridges are probably most efficient and effective for that. What else? Yeah, I think you may not necessarily need them, but I would highly advise in getting a pair. It's a set of binoculars. I think if you're doing this type of hunting and the still hunting in the thick timber and the forested areas, you don't need to see a long ways because you're not going to see a long ways. I mean, more often than not, when I see a buck, I don't need the binoculars, but it is nice sometimes if they're at a distance or they're just far enough and they're in the thick stuff and you can't actually maybe get a count on their tines. Where I am, it's just bucks. So, I mean, you're safe if you see a deer with antlers, but some regions there's different regulations where there's a certain amount of points one of the antlers has to have. So you need to be able to verify exactly how many points and what size they are on each side. So binoculars are pretty good, man. And aside from just counting antler tines, it's good for spotting deer. Like a lot of times you'll just see a flicker movement off in the distance, and with the naked eye you can't quite make out what you're looking at, but you throw up the binos and instantly you're like, yeah, that's a deer, that's that part of the deer. And then you can really like pay attention, see if you can pick up antlers. And if you're gonna get in shed hunting too, these are super useful. Save you a lot of walking to look at sticks. So a lot of times you'll see something that looks like maybe an antler tie laying on the ground, and it's so much more efficient. Just throw up your binoculars and verify. You can tell pretty quick if it's an antler or not that you're looking at, and save you the walk over there. Yeah, binos come in all shapes and sizes and price ranges. These are 8x42s. I think that's common. Also 10x42s are common. And like I said, for a rye hunt, you definitely don't need more than that. If you're going to do more open country, you can get into the higher magnification and all that great stuff. But I think there's all the magnification you need and a really good field of view in the 8x42s or 10x42s. It's a bit of a jack of all trades set of binoculars. So they, I would recommend you get what you pay for, man. You could pay like $200. You could pay like $4,000 for a pair of binos. So you don't need that, I think, for this type of thing. And when you're still hunting through the bush, your gear's getting beat up as well. So I think I paid like $250 for these Vortex binos like 6 years ago. They're still perfect. They work great, and I have no reason to upgrade. Even if I lost these or broke them or something happened, I wouldn't run out and buy the most expensive pair of binoculars for the type of hunting I do here. I'd probably just get the exact same thing, to be honest. There's nothing wrong with them. And yeah, binos, highly recommend you get a set of these. And it's an investment. The next thing I would say, you probably don't need it or need them, but I have a lot of experience with boots. And when you're hiking these mountains around here, you need good mountain boots. I don't know if I can show you guys what I got, but I've got like the really tall, high boots that give a lot of ankle support, because when you're hunting these blacktails and the steep, bluffy stuff, it's steep, man. You do a lot of side hilling. If you just got a pair of like, those hiking boots that you just walk around on trails down the bottom of the valley with, I hate to say it, but they're not gonna last. You're gonna like, I think one shed hunting season I went through 2 or 3 pairs of just, the basic hunting boots that were like, under $200. Like they're just not made for this type of terrain, and you get what you pay for. I mean, you're easily gonna start $500 for a good pair of boots, and you can go up to like $800. And yeah, it's a big expense, man. But if your feet hurt, you're done. Like it doesn't matter the rest of your gear or what your plans are. If your feet hurt and you can't keep hiking in this type of terrain, you're just dead in the water and out of the game. So that's one thing. Like there's a couple pieces, boots and pack, like you really should invest money into, because you get what you pay for, and you put a lot of stress and wear and tear on these pieces. And yeah, they'll last you maybe not a lifetime, like maybe the pack, but the boots, depends how hard you go, right? Like if you're hunting all season, shed hunting all spring and summer like I am, like I burn through boots, and it's a bit of an expensive habit, but I absolutely love it. And it's important. Like I think if you haven't really, maybe if you're a skier or a snowboarder too, you kind of feel this pain, but if you don't get the right shape of boots for your feet, it doesn't matter, man. Like if your feet hurt and you got arch cramps, like it could be $1,000 pair of boots, it doesn't matter. They're garbage to you because they hurt. You can't use them. It's the same thing with like these hiking boots for the mountains. Don't be brand loyal. That's my opinion. I've gone through a few different brands, and all in the same price range, $500-$600, and they're all good quality. Like they're not cheaply made boots, but they do come in different shapes and sizes. So if you've got a sort of a thin, narrow foot, there's going to be a couple brands that's just the default sort of shape of their boots, and those might be for you. For me, I've kind of got short, fat feet, and the older I get, my feet are getting wider. So I have to sort of like just cherry pick those brands that have a naturally wide boot. And in the last couple pairs, I've actually been going with the wide version of those boots, just because when you put your foot down, your foot splays out. Well, mine does anyways. And it pushes out to the sides. And if I don't have the room for that foot to expand, just crushes like my metatarsal bones across the top, and it's just horrific, right? So it breaks my heart sometimes when I buy boots that don't fit, and it is a roll of the dice, because you can go to the shop, put them on, walk around, and you're like, yeah, these are pretty good, and then you take them out for the first couple times and you're like, these are horrible. So there's a bit of trial and error, but I would err on the side of personally, I size up a little bit. So, whereas maybe I wear a size 10 in like a sneaker or running shoes, I'll go size 11 in my mountain boots. And I'll definitely go with the wide just because personally my feet are wider. And I can see people maybe arguing that, saying, oh, you'll get heel slip, too much movement in the foot. But I'm telling you, I've done this myself. I've kind of experimented with different brands, same size, same everything. Some brands, the heel cup is big and open, and yeah, I get heel lift, and I got to put like Luco tape on it or something like that. But this particular brand I got right now has the tightest, perfect like heel cup ever. So they're still like 11 wides, but my heel is just perfect. Like, these are the best boots I've had. So now that I've dialed it into something I know that fits my feet perfectly, I won't even try on any other brands. I don't care if something's 50% off. I'm not buying it because it's useless to me. I need to go buy the brand and size that fits my foot to a T. And I'm telling you, like, if your feet are comfortable and you can hike all day, day after day, day after day, up and down this steep stuff, and you don't even think about foot pain or anything like that, you're money. Like, that's huge. Because if you're, as soon as you get blisters or you get arch cramps or you get, your toes start to hurt or burn because your toe box is too narrow. Yeah, dude, it's just no good. And you're going to quit and tap out, and you're going to be really upset about all the money you spent on those boots that are still pretty much brand new and they don't fit. And I know a lot of hunters out there know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's a tough one. I can't tell you what brand to get for yourself, but I would say go and try them on. If you have access to get your foot measured, like even if it's the old basic, those little metal, you put your foot in, they adjust it, length and width. It gives you some information, right? But if you can get to like one of those, if you can get your foot like a 3D scan, it's so useful. Like, because I learned so much when I got that done. I had no idea that one foot was completely different shape than the other. One's shorter and fatter, and the other was longer and more narrow. So, I had to buy boots too that accommodated the long foot, and then I had to accommodate as well the wide foot. So my right foot has more room between the toe and the end of the boot than my left one does. But you know what? In the winter when it's cold, I like to use sock liners, really thin liners, and then I'll put like a heavy Darn Tough or Smart Wool sock over that. And you want that extra room because in the summer, maybe when you're using thin socks, it'll feel too roomy in your boots, and maybe it is. But come hunting season, when you put on those heavier socks with the sock liner underneath, sometimes it's just perfect. And I'll put on super heavy Darn Tough socks when it gets real cold. And even with the space I have in my boot, I can feel that's probably the limit, and I wouldn't want to go heavier than that because then it's too constrictive on my foot. So there's a lot of variables to boots, but you get what you pay for. Like if you just go buy a pair of, I don't know, off the shelf, just, popular name brand that's like $159.99. I don't know, man. I promise you, if you hunt a lot, they're garbage and they're going to fall apart on you. So save your money. Buy once, cry once, and hopefully you get the right size and it works out for you. But good boots are huge. And that brings me to the next point is packs. So packs are similar to boots in the sense that there's a fit to them, right? And different brands have different shapes. And so there's a spectrum of hunting packs too, right? So you can get cheap hunting packs. You can get expensive hunting packs. You can get these like carbon fiber hunting packs with meat shelves in them. You can get the steel or aluminum, what do you call those? Like pack frame packs or packing meat out. And those are really good. But yeah, it's like a steel frame on your back. And it just depends. If you really want to get into hunting, then you definitely need, I don't know, man. It's not like out east where maybe you shoot a deer and you can drag it across the field to your truck. Like it's hardly ever like that. Usually, if you're up in these steep peaks and these bluffs and you're trying to get your hands on a nice big buck, like there's no easy way out. You're gonna have to quarter that deer, debone it if you have the time. You're gonna have to put it in your backpack, and you're gonna have to carry that thing back to your truck on your back. And I'm telling you, if you don't have a good backpack that fits you, that is a very painful process. There's a lot of big brands. I've had a couple of, well, I've had two. I had a Mystery Ranch, which I still have, and it's really good. No complaints. I am blown away. Like, again, you get what you pay for, but these backpacks are made so strong and durable. When I like roll over with a deer in it on my back, I'm always shocked that the straps don't blow out. Like they're really, you get what you pay for, hopefully in a pack. But this is a Stone Glacier, And I didn't buy it for the name brand. I got the free hoodie with it, so that's why I wear that. But just all the research I did seemed to be had the right adjustments, like in the straps and in the waist belt to adjust with, because everyone's body is a different shape, right? And like you have to get something that's snug to your back and comfortable. If it's too tight, that's no good, and if it's too loose, that's no good. And you're really going to see that when you put a deer in your backpack. Like when you're just walking around for a day hunt, your shed hunt, and you're even just hunting. Yeah, you get away with it. You can have a lot of stuff in there in your bag, and you're like, yeah, this is comfortable. But man, as soon as you like put like whatever 100 pounds of meat on your back and then roll over with it, start hiking for 2 hours, you're gonna know instantly if your backpack really fits you or not, right? So one piece of advice I would give for a pack is I don't want to say size down, but make sure you get something that can be very snug and tight to your waist and your shoulders. So like if you think, I think I'm between a medium and a large, that's a bad idea. I remember when I got my Mystery Ranch pack, I was a bit bigger and I got the large, and I just can't. I had to change my backpack. I actually got a hold of Mystery Ranch, and they were nice enough because they discontinued the version of the pack I had, but they dug out a smaller harness and yoke and they sent that to me. So I was able to cinch it down tighter, because even if, like I said, you're walking around casually through the woods with your pack and say you're a medium, but you bought the large and you think you'll be all right, you won't be when you throw all that deer meat in the back, because you will not be able. There'll be a point in which it can't get any tighter because it's a large, and if you're smaller than that, you're just not going to get any tighter. But that's why I say, like, maybe err on the side of caution, size down a little bit in your pack frames, because you need to cinch it down tight. You got that meat on your back, you want no wiggle room. Like, you don't, if you have it on your back and your straps are too big and your waist belt's too loose, as soon as you put all that meat, it hangs off your back, right? So you're walking like this, trying to like carry this deer out, which is terrible for you. And it's painful and miserable. But if you can get something that fits properly, you cinch it right down tight and it sits on top of your shoulders, right? So the weight of the deer is coming down on you, which is still not a lot of fun, but it's better than it pulling you backwards while you're like trying to hike around these mountains. So don't oversize it. And if you're not sure and you're like, man, maybe the larger, maybe you're smaller and you think a medium is a little bit too big, my advice would be size down, man. Like, don't go crazy, but if there's a threshold there, err on the side of getting it a little bit smaller and snugger. But yeah, anyways, you don't need to get into hunting, spend this much money right out of the gate. I think you would want to after a little bit of time, if you really feel like this is something that you're passionate about and want to get into and invest money in good gear. But you could go pick up like an old like 60 liter, 65 liter, like just regular hiking backpack, right? Like if you just want to try it and just have a tool that could get the meat out for you, then yeah, an old hiking backpack would be a good way to go. I guarantee it's not going to have the type of frame that's going to take that pressure off you. And I don't think an old hiking backpack's going to last you very long. It's not designed to carry that much weight. It's designed to carry camping gear, like a tent and a stove and a sleeping bag and all that. And yeah, you can get a lot of gear into it, but that's a far cry from a dead animal in it. So yeah, if you get an old one, you're probably going to get all stained with blood too, because you don't have a load shelf, but you can get contractor garbage bags and put that into. It's not the end of the world in like October, November, because it's so cold out. But you don't want to leave it in those bags because you need your meat to breathe. But just keep your pack clean. So yeah, old hiking backpack, you could get away with that, and even some of those older, less expensive pack frames that you can buy on the marketplace groups or off online and that sort of thing. So definitely need a pack. I don't think for hiking in the mountains you're going to do very well if you shoot a buck somewhere up there in the gnarly stuff and you're not dragging it out. There's no way. Like, you're going to have to quarter it up, and you need something to put that in, right? So yeah, look around for a pack. What else we got? Oh, so this is something that like I quickly developed a need for. So what I've got is a little bit of an first aid kit. Not necessarily for every emergency or like medical situation that could come up, but I'm a little bit notorious for cutting myself. I haven't done it in like on a deer this year, and I don't think I did it last year, but there was a couple times, man, when I was like up there and I was quartering up a deer, and I nicked myself pretty good, man. I was bleeding, and anyone who's cut themselves with a sharp knife, even the ones that aren't incredibly deep, still bleed a lot when you're out there, man. Like time's against you. You gotta stop the bleeding. So I started packing this little cut kit that I put into my kill kit that's got all my processing tools, and it's just got a little bit of disinfectant, um, band-aids. I don't know if a band-aid's really going to cut it. So what I carry is that little sterilized medical gauze, and then the medical tape as well. And yeah, what I'll do is if I nick myself, man, I just keep pressure on it with the gauze, and then I wrap it up in the medical tape. And I'll put some of that polysporin on it too, so it doesn't get affected. And then I'll just take one of my latex gloves that's in my kill kit, and I'll just wear it and hope I don't cut myself again. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think it's worthwhile. Like, I have a big first aid kit, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. Like, if I was gonna go like on a mountain goat hunt or something, I would bring the complete first aid kit. But if you're just going out for day hunts around, you're just on day hunts, like, I don't know if you need to carry all of it. I mean, who knows what could happen, but yeah, something basic, stop cuts. Because if you're successful and you nick yourself out there with a knife, yeah, it's just nice to be able to kind of stop the bleeding and keep the blood off you, and yeah, not get it infected. Couple other things you're probably going to want to consider is you need a knife. That was probably higher on the list, to be honest with you. And knives, like everything else, can be as expensive as you want them to be. This is just a buck knife. And the reason I like this, I have a bunch of knives, but I've gotten I've enjoyed carrying this one because it's one of those like kind of, doesn't really have a handle. It's kind of skeletonized and like super lightweight and thin and low profile. And buck knives are kind of known for the softer steel. It's really easy to sharpen, but maybe the doesn't hold the edge as long as some of the harder steels, more expensive steels. So, man, if you can afford a really nice, expensive hunting knife, go for it. But if you just want to get into hunting, I think I honestly got this on sale online for like 40 or 50 bucks a few years ago. And like I said, it's just sort of gradually become my go-to knife. So you don't need to spend a lot, but if you're going to have to sharpen your knives all the time, then you might want to consider learning how to sharpen a knife. Again, I'm no expert in that, but I can get this sharp enough that I can get through a whole deer and it's still good to go after that. But yeah, this is the one I use. And if you're unsure about sharpening knives or a little bit intimidated right out of the gate, you can go buy those replaceable blade ones, which are, they're very sharp and they do the job, but that's one more element to be safety concern anyways, and get one of those little medical kit, because man, if you cut yourself with one of those replaceable blade knives, they are literally like razor blades, some of them. Like, you'll just go right down to the bone, and then you're in a pickle when you're out there in the middle of nowhere and you got a gusher. Or worse yet, it could go into your legs. I mean, if you're comfortable with a knife, sure, look into those. If you're unsure, maybe it's better just to pick up a knife, and then you don't even have to spend more money on blades, right? You just get yourself a knife sharpener, which you should have anyways, and not one of those like little crisscross kitchen ones. Like, you want to get a proper one, like a diamond blade one that's gonna really and a ceramic hone that's gonna get your edge to a sharp point. But again, I'm not an expert, so if you want to learn how to sharpen knives, there's tons of YouTube videos on that. But it's not that hard to figure out, and you can at least get it sharp enough to get through a deer, and then you bring it home, wash it, sharpen it up again for your next deer, and it does a job. And then the other thing that I carry in my kill kit that you should get, these are game bags. So they're just like big cloth breathable bags, and that's what you put once you like get the skin a deer, you quarter it, however you're doing it. You got to put that meat into something, right? One is you want to keep the flies off it, and that's not as big of a concern in the fall around here. But if you take a deer in September or early October and it's hot out, there's a lot of flies, right? And they'll land on the meat and they'll lay eggs in it, and that's how you get maggots and stuff in meat. So you don't want that at all. You want no insects on your meat at all. And then also is just to keep it clean, right? So that last year I harvested, I was just fortunate enough to have a bunch of kind of logs with heavy, clean, damp moss on them. So I was just cutting quarters off and laying it on that, and it was nice and clean because you want to let that meat cool off, right? But if you're in a bit of a pressure to like get the meat covered and away from the flies, like, I carry these. They're not expensive. You can buy them at Canadian Tire. You can buy them online. You can buy them anywhere. You can buy expensive ones that are more reusable. Like these ones I've had for a couple years now, and I just keep washing them. I clean them, get all the blood out of them, and I wash them, and they're good, man. Like I only paid $30 for them like a couple years ago, and I've been getting tons of use out of them. So, but you can buy cheaper ones that are more disposable, and they're like under $20, and you should get game bags. I would say if you got like the deer size game bags, is kind of how they advertise them. Personally, I can get like these ones. Maybe they're a bit bigger. Not that much though, but I can get 2/4. I can get a whole deer into 2 of these. So I just carry 2 of these in my kill kit, and then I'll also carry those contractor bags. So I'll put this on to keep the dirt and the flies and stuff off it, but then to keep the blood off my pack for the pack out, I get those contractor bags. And I'm talking like the black garbage bags, but not the ones you buy in the kitchen section at Walmart. You need to go to like a hardware store and buy like the contractor bags. Are super heavy duty, and it's totally worth it. So I'll put those in there just for the hike, and then when I get home, I'll take them out and I'll hang these to let the meat air out. And then maybe some optional stuff that's maybe not a necessity for you to get into hiking or into hunting, but these days with the technology, I would highly recommend in getting a hunting app for your smartphone. And there's a few different ones out here, and here in British Columbia, there's a few, and I think some are better than others. But I think what you should do is spend a bit of money and get the like the map packages, so you can download maps to your phone. Because I mean, it's not crazy to think you're going to be outside of cell service when you're hunting, and if you just take the free trial version or whatever it is, you're not going to get those downloaded maps, and it's a useless tool for you because you can't see where you are. But man, I use mine daily when I'm out here, and you're marking where your truck is, you're marking where you're seeing sign, you're marking where you leave trail cameras, where you find sheds, where you see beds. And if I'm going into a new spot, without a doubt, I start a track, right? So it's this little line that just shows me in the map where I am relative to where I started and where my truck is. And like, I wouldn't be in the woods without one of those hunting apps. Like, that's just crazy to, unless, and it's not even about knowing your spot. It's just about, I would say, and especially if you're new to hunting, you might underestimate just how turned around you can get out in the woods, right? You think it's a no-brainer. You go over one ridge and under a cliff band and drop down a bit, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't remember like where I came in, right? So especially in the beginning, till you memorize sort of the terrain that you're hunting in, I think it's useful to have. But I think it's a totally worthwhile tool. It's a no-brainer too for shed hunting, because like, when you're walking around looking for antlers, man, they could be anywhere. And sometimes I'll use my like GPS like trackers, like it looks like a checkers board, right? So I'm like up and down gridding, left and right, all the way down, and you swear like there's no antlers in here because I've covered it all. But more often than not, I'll zoom in a little bit more, and you'll see these gaps between my lines, and then I'll just start hopping into those little squares or circles, and you find sheds. You're like, I walked right by them, but I never know to go to that exact, because it all looks the same, right? You can walk through and say, oh, I checked this, I checked that, but you didn't. You missed it by 5 feet or 4 feet, or maybe it was only 2 feet away from you on the other side of a log. Then when you made yourself go on the other side of the log to go through that vacant sort of a zone on your map, you see it from a different angle, and you're like, I walked by that antler twice, like crazy. So anyways, this is not a shed hunting video, but I would recommend downloading one of those hunting apps and spend the money. It's not that much, like maybe $30 or something, and get the downloadable maps package. I guess another optional thing is, all these satellite messaging devices now, like the InReaches and the Zolios and different things. And, I have one. I got a super basic package, like $24.95 a month. And sometimes it feels like a waste of money, but the only time I've really used it is if I shoot a deer and I'm really out in the middle of nowhere or up high and I'm well out of cell service and the conditions are sketchy, I'll actually like message a couple of my friends and just say, FYI, I just shot a buck on this mountain, and if you don't hear from me by midnight, maybe I'm in trouble. But And at least someone knows where you last were. You know, if I slip and take a header off a giant cliff band that's all covered in ice and hurt myself or God forbid die, at least somebody knows where I was last, and my parents can get my body. It's kind of sad, but I think about that because you're just like, man, if I get hurt out here or something really bad happens, nobody's going to know where I am. And if there's no cell service, you're not calling for help. So those devices are just an insurance policy. You know, you waste $25 a month, it feels like, but it's got the SOS on it. So man, if you fall or break a leg or injure your back or something, you're just dead in the water and you can't get out. Like holding down that SOS button to get search and rescue to come help you could be a lifesaver, right? Like, and you know, I'm not a big fan of people that just call for a search and rescue on a whim because they're turned around for 5 minutes, but it's good to have in the backpack, man. Like, I really think it's worth it. And if you got a family, they're worried about you, and if you could text them and just say, "I'm all right," you know, right? I just harvested a buck. I'm going to be like 5 hours late. At least it's communication, right? So something I would recommend, you know, for the price you pay. What's your life worth? And it's a little bit of insurance. And I say the last thing is, like, if you want to get into hunting, you don't need all the fancy hunting gear, clothing. Sorry, but it's nice, I guess, if you can afford it. But you know, if you're not sure, again, it's like the pack. If you don't want to like invest a lot of money into it, because you're not even sure if you're going to do it a whole bunch, just like use your hiking clothes. I would recommend like earthy colors, like, you know, grays and greens and browns, and try and stay away from blacks. It's just kind of a dark blob that, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, if you're hunting properly, you're hiding your silhouette anyways behind, like, you know, objects, trees and ridges and bushes and that sort of thing. But yeah, you just want, depends what time of year, right? If it's early October, you just get away with a pair of regular hiking pants and a thin hoodie, and yeah, but come November, it gets cold, so you probably want to have some warmer gear too, right? Some fleece, and you know, merino wool is a big thing these days, and I do like wool, but I don't think it's necessary. Like, if you're just getting into it and you think you're only going to go hunting a couple times, like, don't go buy a bunch of clothes. I mean, if you've got a bright blue jacket, maybe get something that's green or gray or brown or something a little bit more low key, so you're just not like glowing in the woods. And you got to, I don't want to get into it, but deer can, you know, deer's like color spectrum is different, so there's certain colors that you don't want to wear, but you're pretty safe with earthy colors and just neutral tones like beiges, yeah, all that stuff, anything that just looks natural and earthy. So don't go run out and buy a bunch of hunting gear because you don't know what's going to work for you either, right? So just, I would go hunting a few times with what you got, and yeah, if you're successful and you fall in love with it, and you're just, again, like, hunting clothing is a rabbit hole too. You can spend as much money as you want to. Is it always necessary? Not really, but we all like buying new things and new toys, so you eventually spend some money on it. So I think that's all I got. Like I said, this is just basic. If you just want to go hunting and you don't have someone maybe to take you, or maybe someone is going to take you out, like a friend or something, these are some of the basic stuff that I think you should get before you head out in the woods. One, like, just to follow the rules, have the hunting license and that sort of thing, and the tags. You obviously need a firearm or a weapon of some sort. And rifle's probably the best place to start. Binoculars, I think, are key because you need to identify what you're looking at, because, you know, sometimes you don't know, you just can't see what you're looking at, and if there's any sort of like legal regulation behind it, like, you need to know what you're going to harvest before you pull the trigger. Good boots, I would highly recommend that. Like, you'll see, like, if you go out with like the less expensive hiking boots that you just have in the closet right now, you'll get away with it once or twice. But if it's November and October and raining like it's been raining around here, your feet are toast. You're going to be absolutely soaked, and they're all going to blow out, and you'll have mud all in your boots. And anyways, use them in the beginning, but I promise you, investing in a good pair of like mountain boots, you won't regret. Because even if you don't like get into hunting completely and you just continue to like just be in the outdoors and hike and camp, they're completely transferable to that as well. And you get what you pay for on footwear, and I highly recommend. That's one of those ones I would invest some money in, and you'll see for yourself after a while. Use the cheap ones, you won't like it. It'll start to get miserable, and you'll want to upgrade. But make sure you find. Don't be too worried about the brand. Just the price range is more important, and go try them on and speak to the people, the salespeople, and ask or even do all the research yourself online. And there's all sorts of reviews that'll tell you what brands make sort of generally what shape a boot, and try and learn what your foot is and try and just match it as best you can. But don't go too small. You'll crush your toes on the downhill. So size up half a size or size, in my opinion. I guess anyone can have their opinion on that, but in my experience, slightly bigger is better. It just gives you movement for your foot to move and not get crushed. A pack, you can get away with a cheaper pack for a few times, or for a long time if that's how you want to do it. But it's a more pleasant experience when you got a pack that fits well and carries heavy loads well. But they can be a lot of money and a big investment, so don't go rush into that unless you want to start with one of those pack frames. I know you can pick them up for a couple $100, and I'm sure you can get them even cheaper, like on some of the marketplace buy and sell pages. So keep an eye out for those. But again, watch your sizing. Don't get something. If you're a medium and someone's selling a large or an XL pack frame, don't get it. It's too big for you. It's not going to work, right? So you got to try and get the right size and size down to make it snug, in my opinion, on that. And have a bit of a first aid kit, an emergency kit. I didn't mention it, but I also have like water purification tablets in there, and just basic stuff. I don't want to carry like 4 liters of water while I'm hunting all day, so it's just handy to have anyways. I'll bring like a Nalgene bottle, and then if I want to fill a second one on the fly, I just pop one of those tablets in. And around here, you're probably good, but better safe than sorry. You don't want to ruin your week. And maybe carry like a Bic lighter in there as well, right? I mean, I've never really had to stop and build a fire, but it weighs nothing, and who knows, man, maybe shoot a deer. It's in November and we actually do have snow for once, and you got to sit there for a few hours, process that deer in the dark. It's nice to have a lighter and you can get a little fire going, warm your hands up, keep the animals away. So maybe a Bic lighter is a good idea to throw in there as well. And again, optional is your hiking clothing. Just try to get something with earthy colors. I definitely would recommend, you don't have to, but download one of those hunting apps, so you got a little GPS and you can see where you're at when you're outside of cell service as well. And yeah, that satellite messenger, I mean, that's pretty good if you're into just being in the outdoors at all. Anyways, you don't need to necessarily have it for hunting, but if you're camping and hiking in the alpine or doing whatever, it's not even bad. Like when I'm like driving, like in the summer, I'll have it. And if I'm driving like way up a valley where I'm well out of cell service, I mean, I don't have a brand new truck and anything could happen, right? What if my truck doesn't start? It's super nice to have that. I could text a buddy and just say, one, could you come get me? Or two, call a tow truck or come tow me or something. So it's just nice to have as an insurance policy anyway. So I feel like if you're a big outdoors person, you should have a satellite messenger anyways. They're not that expensive anymore. You get them on sale for like $199. And again, what's your life worth? What's the inconvenience worth too? If your truck breaks down up some crazy mountain FSR and there's no cell service, like, geez, man, what a nightmare hiking out of there trying to get yourself back to cell service. So anyways, that's really all I got. And so it's just a very basic, if you're an experienced hunter, all this and you probably got more tips and ideas. But yeah, I just figured for like the people that every day are just like, Ryan, I'd like to get into hunting, or can I come hunting with you? Or what do I need? Do I need a license? What do I need? You're just like, you guys have no idea, do you? So hopefully this video can kind of answer some of those basic questions. But yeah, if you've got any specific questions or opinions or anything, I mean, drop them in the comments below. I mean, I'm happy to talk about it. I am always willing to learn. So I mean, if there's stuff, like I'm sure there's things I haven't mentioned and I could go on forever about it, but I just want to stick with some fundamentals that I think are important if you're just out there by yourself. But yeah, start a conversation, leave some comments below, and yeah, hope you guys enjoy these videos. I'm going to maybe just try and do a few of these, and yeah, like and subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. So take care and hope you had a good season, and we'll talk to you next time.